Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this big fella right here, Monster Slaughter. This is by Ankama Games, and it looks like it has been designed by Henri Pym. Anyway, it is basically a dice-chucking, frolicking good time where you are taking on the persona of a family of monsters. You have, for example, a mama mummy, a papa mummy, and a little junior mummy, and you are trying to basically slaughter. That's the name. You're basically trying to slaughter a group of teenage party guests that are crashing this house in the middle of the woods and, doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing anyway. So we're the good guys, right? Not really. But anyway, let's get down to the table. I'll show you how it works, and then we'll come back with some final thoughts in just a few moments. See you in a little bit. Basically, what the players are trying to do is they're trying to well, it's called Monster Slaughter, so they're trying to kill these party goers right here that are crashing this house and using it for a party. During the course of setup, these all have character cards, and they are basically laid on top of these different room decks, and there's one deck for each of the different rooms. There's the bathroom, the toilet, the bedroom, the kitchen, and the living room right here. So what the monsters are trying to do here is they're trying to locate these, evil party goers and eliminate them. Now the game's going to end in two different ways. The first way is the nocturnal event marker is going to get all the way over here to 8 o'clock, and then after all of the monsters have completed their turns, then that ends the game. Another way the game can end is if all of the party goers are eliminated from the game. They are dead. All right, and then after that, you're simply going to get points. You're going to add up your points that you've accrued over the course of the game from causing wounds, which give you flesh tokens, or causing fatal blows or wounds or attacks that kill a person. That gives you that. Whenever somebody dies, you get one of these. If you're the one that did the fatal blow, these bone tokens over here. And there's also this other mechanism of choosing the order in which these people are going to die. And if you choose correctly, then you're going to be able to get some of those brain tokens over there. But you also have these little favorite meal tokens, and if you are the one who eliminates the character upon which you put your favorite meal token, well, then you're going to be getting 5 bonus points at the end of the game. So everybody is going to add their points together that they've accrued. Whoever has the most points is the winner. So what's going to happen on the first turn is that everybody will activate one of their people, and after that's gone, this little token will be placed on the midnight thing. And then everybody will activate a second person, and then this will move here, and a event card will be flipped over. And this event card basically has some type of generating effect. It says any party guests or surprise visitors revealed during this round are placed in the tool shed if possible. The tool shed is another piece that I didn't actually have set up because it is basically a variant, but this is what it looks like, and it basically sets off to the side of the board somewhere. You would have other things like rage here. It says for the duration of the round, all active monsters must play 3 regular actions. All 3 must be different. Bonus actions and free moves may be played in addition to these 3. So there's a number of different things that these event cards will be doing, and they're just going to simply govern that particular part of the round. Now, here's the thing about your monsters being face up. Whenever you do use them and put them out on the board, you're going to flip their card over, showing that you have actually used them already. Then when all 3 are flipped over, then you can flip them back over and use whichever one you like. On your turn, you have a number of actions that are available to you based upon this characteristic on your card here. So all of the kids are kind of hyperactive, so they're all going to have a lot of actions. They roll fewer dice, and then this is a special ability that the entire family will have. The maniacs here are so nasty and hideous looking. Whenever a party goer sees them, it causes 1 damage, causes them to take 1 damage. So that's pretty nasty. It's also kind of funny. But anyway, you can see here that the kid has 3 actions, 2 action dice that they can roll during those actions if they call for dice rolling, and so forth. Then you also have the mommies, which have 2 actions, but they are going to roll 3 dice, and then that special ability is still in effect. And then the big bear, Papa Bear, is going to have only 2 actions, but he's rolling a whopping 4 dice. Now, the first action that we're going to go over is simply the move. Now, it's needful to mention here that everybody receives a free move action that doesn't count as one of the actions that's printed on their card. So, you would first of all place one of your dudes in the one of the 4 outside zones. It could be any one. And then you can actually start using your actions. Well, move is where you're simply moving from one zone to another that's adjacent to each other. So first of all, let's say this door wasn't here. This zone and the living room are considered adjacent to each other, so he could use a move action to simply move into the living room. Now, another thing that you can do on your turn is peek. And that simply means maybe he's right here and he's going to peek through one of these windows that are here to see who might be in here. So if he does that, he'll be able to take from the top card of the deck and flip it over. Now, this means that a party goer is actually in the room, and we know that at the beginning of the game, they're all on the top of the deck. So he knows that this guy right here, the partier, is in this room here, and he knows which one it is. But after you're done peeking, this is replaced back onto the deck exactly where it came from. You don't shuffle it in or anything like that. The next possibility that you have on your turn is smashing through a door. And smashing through a door is quite simple. It only takes 1 success. So for Papa Bear here in the Maniacs, he's going to be rolling 4 dice. And if he gets 1 success, then he has done it, which he has gotten only 1 success. These X's are failures. The black hand claw mark scratchy thingies are successes. So he was able to do that. This will count as 1 point at the end of the game because he smashed through the door. Now, when you do smash through a door, it causes the room's deck to be shuffled because the person that's in there is going to hide. Well, you know he's in there, but you don't know exactly where he is. So now you actually have to search the room to see if you can find that person that you know is in here. So as a search action, let's say that Papa Bear is doing it again. He has this 4 dice. So he's going to be able to take 4 dice and roll them. And for every success that he gives, he's going to be able to draw a card from that deck. So in this particular case, Papa Bear is going to be able to draw 2 cards out of the living room deck. Now, the decks have a bunch of different kinds of cards in them. They do have some dangerous little trap cards, like this booby trap right here. But it'll also have cards in it, such as this one, which are special cards that you can play on your turn. This one says roll the bones, re-roll any of the action dice you just rolled. So that's pretty cool, a little bit of dice mitigation there. There's also this, it says burst of speed. You can move all of your monsters 1 zone. So that's pretty cool as well. There are also reaction cards that you can play on somebody else's turn if they're fighting the group that they are pictured here. Now, what this will do is it'll give 3 reaction dice to any party goer that's fighting any monster. But if they're fighting the werewolves, it'll actually give 4 dice as reactions. And that will be on top of any special ability that the party goer might already have. So these are the kinds of cards that you're going to be finding in some of these decks. So it is really advantageous because you want to be playing these cards against your opponents to make it a little bit more difficult for them to knock off those party goers in the order that they're wanting to. Now, the last option that you may want to take on your turn is attacking, and that is if you are in a room definitely with a visible party goer, you can attack that party goer. In this case, it's the dude that has the beer or something to that effect. And his special ability is that he can roll 1 die, plus any other reaction dice that are given to him by your opponents. So let's say that one of your opponents decides to play this baseball bat on him. So he's going to be able to roll 2 plus 1, 3 dice altogether, whereas Papa Bear Maniac here is going to be able to roll 4 dice altogether. So Papa Bear Maniac is going to roll 4 dice, and the party goer is going to roll 3 dice. So we put them all together, and we put them like so. The party goer got 2 successes, and Papa Bear got 3 successes. And so what we will do, these two will knock out these two. He scores 1 hit on the party goer, which will take his red cube here down 1 spot. Papa Bear Maniac is going to be able to take one of these wound tokens because he caused some damage, and that's going to score him some points at the end of the game. Now, there is actually one more thing that you could do on your turn, and that is scare this individual right here. And that's simply, you're going to roll the dice that your character is able to, and then your person has to move as many successes as they possibly can. And that's about it for gameplay. It's a very simple game. One of the things that you really want to try to pay attention to is the order that you've placed your death order tokens in down here to try to get those party goers to die when it's most advantageous for you. You want to make sure that you're causing fatal blows so you can get these bone tokens here, which are worth 2 points each. The wound tokens are also worth 2 points each, and then the final kill tokens over there, the brains, they're worth 3 points each. These are worth 5 points each, and so everybody is trying to score points by simply doing damage and knocking out these party goers, and whoever has the most points at the end of the game here, or when all of these folks are simply toast, is the winner. So that's about that for Monster Slaughter. There's not a whole lot as far as mechanics are concerned here. I didn't go over everything. There's a little bit of when this happens, that happens, and then when you do this over here, you also have to do that over there. And there's that kind of minutia, but generally speaking, you get the idea from the turn structure and from each of the different things that this is not really a difficult game at all. It's just simply meant to be frolicky and fun. And I think they've accomplished that. Now, some of the pros of the game is that, first of all, the 3D nature of the game is really, really cool. And now, there have been other games that have done this in the past, and I didn't really like it because sometimes the walls were a little bit too high. You couldn't see inside the rooms or inside the containers or whatever we're talking about here. So other games have done this 3D board, but this one does it pretty well because not only is it a 3D board, but the doors can pop on and off, and then you can put barricades later on after the doors have been busted through and that type of thing. So that's a really cool thing that they've managed to implement a lot of different things in this 3D aspect of the game. Following closely upon those heels is the artwork. Now, the artwork is not as clean, I guess you could say, as I would usually like it to be. It's a little sloppy here and there. And I guess you could say it's a little disproportionate as far as how the people look. You know, their faces are weird shapes and all that other kind of stuff. But that's okay because they're monsters. Now, the actual party goers, they're a little bit more proportionate as far as their body dimensions are concerned. They don't look weird or anything like that. It's just the monsters. But that's kind of a side point because it's all really good artwork and it makes you kind of envelop yourself just a little bit more into that theme. Also, the dioramic, I guess you could say, artwork that's in the house is also really well done, and it's evocative, and it's just a really neat design, graphically speaking, as well. So that's a huge pro. Another pro for the game is just how lighthearted and fun it actually is. You are literally going up against other monster families trying to get the most points by causing the most wounds and causing the most fatal blows and all of that kind of stuff. And it's a really competitive game, but it's so lighthearted that it's fun no matter how good or bad you're doing. Yeah, the dice can still kind of creep up and haunt you from time to time, but who cares? You're still having fun moving things around, and you've got the stuff that you can make it hard for your opponents to do well at the same time. So it's just frolicky fun, lighthearted. And finally, when I talk about a game that has miniatures in it, I'm going to talk about the miniatures and kind of critique them. And while these aren't the best miniatures I've ever seen on the planet, they are still really good. I mean, this guy is really neat. A little disproportionate, like I was talking about later. That huge chainsaw looks really, really dinky in his hands, but that's because he's such a big dude. So just miniatures like this are really cool. They have a lot of really neat detail on them, and they look really, really good. And that just makes it a little bit more fun to play. So the first con for me is going to come from the death order mechanism that is in the game, where you have to kind of choose what order you think each of these different people are going to die in. And the reason it's a con for me is not because I dislike the mechanism so much as it is rather I don't like how many points you can score by really kind of randomly determining at the beginning of the game what order you think these guys are going to die in. Not knowing where they are at the beginning of the game, not knowing when you're going to run into them or anything like that. You're just kind of taking a shot in the dark, and then if you take a shot in the dark right or correctly, you're going to get rewarded by a ton of points. If you correctly guess each and every one of these in the correct order, that's 15 points. If you also got your favorite meal and you're the one that killed that favorite meal, that's another 5 points. So that's 20 points altogether if you've correctly done it. That's not counting all of the different points you're going to be getting from scoring wounds on these different characters. So there's just a lot of points to be had in this game, and a good chunk of them come from this death row mechanism, as far as I can tell. And so I kind of wish they wouldn't have attributed so much worth to getting those in the right row, because if somebody does really well at it, they can practically win the game. I just don't like how many points you can get if you randomly chose correctly. And really, that's about it as far as cons are concerned for the game. There's not a whole lot of them. I really did enjoy the game. I thought it was fun. I even though I lost, I didn't care, because I was still having a lot of fun. The theme is campy. The theme is really kind of generic, but it's fun, and it's done in such a way that it doesn't take itself too seriously. And when games do that, and the gameplay, the mechanisms match that campiness, I really do enjoy the game. So all in all, I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. There's a great production value here. The miniatures are all good. The custom dice are all solid and etched, not printed or anything like that. The artwork is amazing. All of the different cards that are in the game provide a good variable feel to it as well. And there's just a lot of really neat stuff going on here, and I'm very excited to try to get it back to the table. And whenever that's the case, I think that there's a good game there. When you're wanting to get it back to the table, that's a good flag that says you're on the right path. So that's it for me. 8 out of 10 for Monster Slaughter. Go check it out. Try before you buy, if at all possible. I always try to encourage you to do that. But that's it for me. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.